Good morning, everybody. The sun is kind of sitting on my face at this angle, so if I'm squinting, that's why. But I wanted to get the beautiful view in the background. This is one of my secret little spots that I have on the trail that I hike by my house. It is beautiful. I pass this at the beginning of my walk. I go all the way down to the trail. When I come back, I take a seat right here on this random bench that was put here. How convenient. And I enjoy the beautiful mountain view. There's like cars down there. But just let's take a moment to breathe this in. Look at that. That is the beautiful Rocky Mountain Range right there. Love to see it in beautiful, lovely, colorful Colorado. One of my lovely supporters and friends told me that they would love to see a segment where I had gotten a beautiful view for the podcast. So that is what we're doing today. You ask, I shall deliver. And I think showing how beautiful the nature and the world is really going to add to the topic of today. If you are new here, welcome to the Club of for Learning and for Healing. I am your host, The Real Mel B, and this is the Thought Daughter Podcast. Oh God, that sun is gonna definitely bother me. Right, so I might be having to do this because it's getting brighter as we speak. Gotta love the mornings, right? Today, I wanted to talk about AI. And I know everybody is probably sick and tired of not only hearing about AI, but talking about it, dealing with the repercussions of it. I know one of the big things that a lot of us talk about is the effects of AI in our nature. You know, it's stealing our water, it's destroying our planet, adding to the pollution of everything going on. I know personally here in Colorado, there's a lot of discourse with them wanting to build new AI data centers, and we are already, unfortunately, in a drought over here. Colorado is pretty dry. We are already in a drought and are struggling with keeping water within our environment, within our people. You know, I know that there's a lot of worry with potential water shortages with the use of AI, but specifically something that I feel like a lot of people aren't talking too much about, but they are mentioning it lightly, is the effects of AI and our brain, psychologically, our society, the kids that are growing up in schools nowadays. I wanted to touch more on that. In the nature aspect, let me say this. I do not believe innately that AI is bad. Now, let me elaborate on that before you get everything in a twist. I think that AI had the potential to be something absolutely amazing. I think AI had the potential to really help our society, really help our technological advancements. AI could have been something amazing, but that's unfortunately not the reality that we live in, because greedy and money-hungry corporations got a hold of it, and they will exploit the earth, exploit the people at the cost of them making more money. Therefore, something that AI could have been very helpful, very good, we could have found a way to create it without using up all our natural resources. They rather use up everything because it means they get more money, and they don't really care about the earth, our planet, things like that, which is crazy. We live here. This is our home. This is our land, you know? But I guess not everyone feels as passionate as me about the planet or whatever. God forbid, right? But something that I've seen a lot of that genuinely kind of like terrifies me is the effects of AI with like schooling and our children and the society that is kind of like building itself and what we're becoming right now. AI is ruining that. So I saw a video not too long ago where this guy went around to a bunch of high school kids, right? These are like freshmen, junior, seniors. Sorry, I heard a deer. I just wanted to make sure I wasn't in his way, or at least that it wasn't a buck. Those are the scary ones. Anyways, this guy, he goes around a high school with an index card, and it has a sentence of something like, "The extraordinary dress had a beautiful silhouette," or something like that. I can't remember that like full thing, but he went around and he asked different students, "Hey, could you just like read this for me? Like just read it for the camera," because he was conducting an experiment. And what really absolutely fucking scared me and like really worried me was the fact that these sophomore, junior, and freshman kids, like they could not physically read this like index card. And first of all, that makes you think like, well, what the hell are you in school for if you can't fucking read? Especially reading at a level that's definitely below high school. I feel like I learned those words in like middle school. But I don't know, But they could not read, they could not pronounce it. Oh my God, there's a centipede crawling on my tripod right now. Downsides to filming in nature is also here. I could not read that index card, and that worried me because where is your reading level at? And I've seen a lot of, posts and pictures and proof and articles and forums about children nowadays only using AI and using the hell out of AI to pass through school. They're using AI to write their papers, to complete their homework, to fill out tests that they didn't study for. They're just typing all of the questions into ChatGPT. That is deeply concerning to me because you are not learning anything and you are slowly diminishing brain usage for what, I remember back when I was in high school, and this is something that is so hilariously relevant to today. My art teacher, when I was in art class, had said that sometimes she really hates Google because she felt like Google absolutely killed creativity. She felt like, kids nowadays, all they do is look something up on Google and trace it. There's like not a lot of original art that's like actually making something out of your brain, out of your imagination. And I definitely agreed with her. I do think in a way, with the rise of internet, people have lost their creativity. They have lost their originality. And the day and age of AI has just made it so incredibly worse. Like the AI advancements that we have now versus back in high school when we had like the beginnings of AI, for me, completely different. And we have killed creativity. We have killed cognitive exercises. These kids, these people, they don't understand anything. I also saw recently another video where a guy got like a pretty serious degree. I cannot remember if it was like bachelor's or PhD. And at the end, on like the graduation jumbotron, they showed him and he held up his laptop, and on the laptop was his ChatGPT log, and it was logs for like exams, papers, homework answers, quiz answers, test answers. Like it was his entire stock of everything that he had used AI for to pass and graduate college, which was damn near every assignment that he had. And I don't know if it's fully true. It is rumored that the university, sorry, it's a little windy. It was rumored that the university took his degree because, that's cheating, and started a lot of conversations on how much AI is too much AI, how do we draw the line between somebody using AI as a resource and using AI as a way to like completely pass something and as a version for answers. And that is just showing me exactly my point that AI is killing our cognitive function in our brain. It is killing our nature, but it is killing how we use our heads. Nowadays, people cannot think for themselves, and it's so scary. The amount of people that I see that will type into ChatGPT, oh, I need to send an emotional text message to my friend or my family member, but I don't know what to say. And AI will write out emotions for you. You'll copy and paste, and then you'll send it to that person. If you cannot, from your heart, send a thoughtful, emotional text message to someone, and you need to use AI, that not only shows that you are dependent upon AI, but you lack emotional capacity to think for yourself in that moment, Like, use your brain. I really don't know how else to say it, but like, use your brain. Your brain is the greatest computer that you will ever have. And the fact that people don't use it is deeply concerning, I feel like the reason I personally don't use AI is solely for the naturist aspect. When it first came out, before I kind of like learned a little bit more about what it was doing to the planet, I did use AI as a resource. I had ChatGPT, and when I was trying to figure things out, I typed in a quick question like, hey chat, this, that, and the third are 3 things that I have already thought up, give me logical answers on like which one's the best and things like that. And I would still kind of use my own judgment on what I felt like would work. And I used AI as a resource. And I feel like if AI was not using so much of our nature resources, it would have been an amazing tool for people to use to help their businesses grow, to help themselves make, better logical business decisions without being dependent on it, though, is the huge thing. We would use it strictly as a resource, like how you would Google the encyclopedia, the dictionary. not using ChatGPT as another version of your brain or talking to ChatGPT as if they're a person. I feel like kids these days, like, not to sound like an auntie, but like they're getting so fucking dumb. I'm not even like, there's no really other way I can word it. They are becoming more and more stupid because of things like relying on the internet too much, relying on ChatGPT too much. These kids aren't even doing their homework or studying. They're just typing things into ChatGPT, which I'm like, oh my goodness, like our generation, below me, I have like, my generation is split. So I was born in Gen Z, right? And I was born in the earlier half of Gen Z that knew a life before the big technology boom in like 2007, right? And this was 2007 was when you started getting your touchscreen phones, the Nokias started going out, the Blackberries started going out. Yeah, some of y'all might not even be old enough to know what those are, but the big technology boom started coming. You had the iPods, all the stuff. But I knew a life before that. And then unfortunately, the other half of my Gen Z generation only knew the iPad kid life. We had Kindles, they had the touchscreen iPhone ever since they were born, different things like that. And I feel like that lower half of my generation and then all the generations after are so dependent on technology that I think there needs to be like a genuine study on how they lack cognitive function because they're too dependent on technology. They are not using their brains like how they should be. And that's not to say that, they're innately stupid. I think that all the technology and the resources that are being overhanded to them is what's making them dumber instead of excelling them and making them smarter. I also feel that AI is also kind of ruining our social aspect, a big social boo-boo. I don't even know how else to like describe it. A big social hurt that we had was unfortunately the pandemic of COVID in 2020. When we went into lockdown, when we were stuck inside, that ruined a lot of the socialization for the people. We kind of became hermitized. And, when we came out of the pandemic and we were allowed to, hang out in public spaces again, go do things, be in crowds, people stopped knowing how to socialize. I feel like we've seen a lot of talk about it. People, you compliment their shirt, people are like, oh, I guess thanks. Like they don't know how to actually talk to people. A lot of people are still kind of stuck in that hermit mindset because 2020 happened at a very like developmental time in their life, so they didn't get the socialization that they should have. And I feel like AI just makes that so much worse because you have people that don't go outside, they don't talk to people, and they will talk to their chat GPT. They'll give their chat a name. They will, I know you guys have seen it, the articles and the stories of people who've built whole ass relationships with AI, with chat GPT. And it's like, oh my God, I'm not even like judging in a mean way. Like genuinely, I think those people need like help, and I hope they get it because that's not healthy, and there's definitely a social cognitive disconnect right there. But I cannot fully blame people because we had things like the pandemic and AI is so pushed on us and it's integrated into everything now. So even if you don't want to use AI, if you use Google, if you use Siri, if you use almost any social media app, AI is now integrated into that, and it's going to be responding, it's going to be using stuff, regardless of if you really want to use it. I know nowadays there's a lot of settings where you can turn AI off on those features, and I always try to do my best to do that. But a lot of people, I don't even think they realize how integrated AI is into our society and how much they are probably still using AI daily, even if they're not using like ChatGPT or whatever AI sort of like resource, right? And this is all the result because of corporations and big billionaires that are corrupt, that wanted to exploit AI, to use it to disrupt us, to make us dumber, to destroy our resources. Oh my God, there is such a cute dog. Oh my God, he is so sticking cute. It's absolutely insane the effects AI has had on us and our society. And I think we need to really sit down and have real conversations about it. I feel like all the conversations about AI, they kind of look like you have people complaining and then you have people being like, God, it's not a big deal. Like, stop fucking complaining about it. It's whatever. But it is actually that serious. And I hope I kind of have been explaining it in a way that is a little bit more digestible, because I know nowadays, because we lack that socialization, that human connection, that emotional empathy. People tend to not really do very well at explaining things, and they tend to be really like in your face, call you names instead of actually talking and explaining a solution, right? So I'm hoping that I've explained kind of the issues very well for people to better understand AI. And there's, bigger issues too. Like you have AI art becoming a thing, and people are now making millions because a computer generated something versus painters and other artists and sculptors that put hours and days and months and weeks into their work just to hope to sell it and hope that somebody buys it. And they put their blood, sweat, and tears into it. And then you have people that tippity type at a computer, put some colors with this cool background, and then they're like AI art, right? And they're selling. I will say one thing I'm very disagree on is AI art. I believe the AI art, it will never hold the emotion, the grit, like I said, the blood, sweat, and tears that real physical art holds, whether that's photography, painting, sculpting, whatever. The real physical like aspect of putting your energy and your work into something is what builds that emotion and story when it comes to art. So when you have things like AI making art and AI is starting to try to replace physical artists, we are taking the creativity out of humanity, which is very dangerous because that is at the root, what we are. Us as human creatures, we are the species of creating, of innovation, of creating art, music, inventions to push forth our species, our society. And then you're going to let a computer do all of that because it generates an image. And here's the thing too, it's not even making anything original. AI is nothing but a computer, and it has to take things that already exist on the internet to create something, or with information that's provided. Like if you send it a picture, it takes information from that and it creates something. It's not creating something new and out of the blue, versus somebody who makes art might get inspired by something and they make that out of their bare hands, straight from their imagination. So yeah, it's very, very dangerous for AI to be trying to replace art. It's very, very dangerous that they are trying to AI gentrify, a lot of jobs, and it's starting to take people's jobs. It's annoying how AI has become like moderators for a lot of apps. I complain about this a lot on my TikTok whenever I go live, because the AI, little moderator bot will restrict my live for things that I'm not even doing just because it's misunderstanding something because it's a computer. And I will always complain on my TikTok, like, oh, this is what happens when you let AI just control everything and it's restricting my lives and I'm not even doing anything, versus there are people on TikTok live actually doing things and they never get restricted, right? Things like that, I would never personally put so much trust into a computer. I don't even put that much trust into my phone, I still have a physical photo memory book because I don't ever trust that one day all the phones would explode or something and I would have no access to my childhood pictures that I have on my device, things like that. AI is just really taking over really important things that it shouldn't be taking over. And I know that you probably have heard the phrase that a lot of people talk about the aspect of oh, AI was supposed to be here to make our lives easier, and AI was supposed to, do the dishes for me, have a smart fridge where you could integrate AI into it and it would keep a stock of everything you have, tell you when you're running out of something, tell you when you need something, make a list for you, etc., send it to your phone. AI was supposed to be a helper. AI was not supposed to replace our art, our music. That's even a huge thing. There's AI music artists nowadays. Are we absolutely joking? This is insane. Why would we want to replace the one thing that makes us very special outside of being sentient and conscious? Why would we want to get rid of that and give it to a computer? I just don't understand it. And it's almost like a double-edged sword, because there are people who have, made money using AI. They generate AI cartoons and things like that. But if I'm being honest, was it ever really worth it to, use so little of your own creativity generated on a computer and to constantly use up our water, to constantly destroy the earth at the cost of what? You putting more money in your pocket. And I'm not necessarily hating on these people. I'm just trying to hopefully open minds to give good enough reason for people to realize hey, maybe AI is not as good as I think it is. Like I said at the beginning, it is not innately bad to the point that it's oh my God, we should never use AI in any way, shape, or form. I think AI is strictly only bad because of the way that we have gone about using it and the resources that we use to fuel data centers for AI. It's very dangerous, it's very harmful. And I mean, look behind me, look at everything around me right now in this video, right? This is the earth we are destroying. This is the nature that we were blessed with. This is the planet we were so fortunate to live on, right? And everything around us is flourishing, and it's a living, breathing, sentient part of the greater planet, the whole nature aspect that we are also a part of, you know? And people will see the Rocky Mountains and all of the bushes and the trees behind me and go, wow, like this is so beautiful. I love the earth. The earth is gorgeous. But how much longer will she be here if we keep making decisions like using AI, willingly destroying our ozone layer, willingly destroying our planet, willingly polluting the earth? And I'm not saying that you need to start dressing in cardboard and eating grass, but 100% we need to be doing better to take better care of our earth and better care of our humanity. And allowing AI to infiltrate our cognitive creativity, socialization, emotional empathy, as well as our nature is so dangerous, and we will slowly start to lose what makes us special as humans. The next time that you go outside and you see a beautiful view, I want you to remember that is what AI will eventually take from you. That is what mistreating our planet will take away from you. There will be no views like this anymore, you know? And I'm not here to fearmonger. I'm not saying this is going to happen tomorrow, but I'm being very realistic on the path that we could go down if we are not serious with ourselves about the effects and the uses of AI, the effects and the uses of how we treat our humanity and our nature, and etc. Sorry for the windy day and the very sunny squinting. I really wanted to film outside. It feels wonderful, but you know, you got to work with Mother Nature. That is completely fine with me. Thank you guys so much for listening today. Make sure to check the link in the description box below. That is going to have the Spotify Thought Daughter podcast episode. That is also going to have my clothing brand, my Instagram, and my TikTok. Come find me everywhere. See all of the fun things that I do. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe here on my YouTube. Turn on those post notifications so you can get notified when I post a vlog or another episode of the Thought Daughter podcast. I love you guys so, so, so much. I hope everyone has a wonderful rest of your day. Stay cunty, make money, and ask hella fucking questions. That's how we progress. I'll talk to you guys next time. Bye.